Alright, so with the current 2x drop rate event for the guaranteed rewards, as well as the artifact card sets on the final stage of the bird, the deer, and the wolf, I thought I would give you guys a couple of teams that work really well in these demonic beast battles. Now, for the bird, I have 3 teams in mind, as well as like for the Skoll Hati fight, I have 3 teams in mind. But for the deer, I sort of have a couple of units that work really well together. And of course, you can like mix and match different types of units. I'm gonna give you some red, some green, some blue units, as well as like some other units that work really well on the deer boss. But yeah, as you know, like the rewards are doubled on the final stage. So instead of just getting 1 wind source, 1 river source, or 1 twilight source, you get 2 of them. As well as the card sets, instead of just being 1% drop chance, they've increased it to 2% drop chance. And this is true for the Skoll Hati cards as well, because as you can see, it's like 0.2, then it goes up to 0.6. So these 2 stages haven't changed, so floor 1 and floor 2, but for floor 3 it is doubled. So both the Skoll Hati cards, the different ones, have a 2% drop chance. So that is very nice indeed. So if you're missing one of these cards, I'm pretty sure I am missing one of these cards because I haven't crafted the card set yet. If you want to craft all the holy relics, if you want to get everything done, this is the time to actually do it in. And you have until Monday next week. So it's gonna end on the Monday or going into the Tuesday update. So you only have a week to actually do this. So without further ado, I'll just go into sort of the teams that work really well for these contents. Now for the absolute fastest team that can clear the bird boss floor 1, 2, and 3 in like 7 minutes 30 seconds to like 8 minutes 30 seconds, give or take, that's usually how it goes. It's this team. Like, granted, you do need to have Roxy, and I know that not everyone like pulled for Roxy, even though it's sort of thought that the anniversary unit was going to be like a really good human buffer. He did turn out to be a human buffer now after the buffs. Everyone didn't think that, and I know everyone doesn't have Roxy, so if this team doesn't work for you, I do have some other teams that are really nice as well, and maybe not as fast, but most definitely as consistent, or if not more consistent. Now the only things to note here is, of course, everyone is running attack crit gear, so that's basically what you want to run on them, because you do want to crit on them. I guess attack defense on like Megelda could be better, just to increase her survivability. Like, there's no way she's critting most of the time anyway, especially not if you have like regular substat rolls. Same thing actually goes for Brunhild, so that is why I actually crafted a extra set of UR top pieces for her with like crit chance, so she's getting 20% crit chance. Like, these rolls aren't the perfect rolls, like you don't really need perfect rolls for it anyway. She's gonna crit most of the time, and yeah, that's because generally though, like if you don't have these sort of extra crit chance pieces, she has like 82% crit chance or whatever. It's terrible, but with these she has like 124% from just this, so that makes her crit most of the time, but she can also miss crits. And why crits are so important, of course, is because of the Roxy here. Because of her passive, if a human ally crits, she's gonna deal additional damage based on like 300% of her initial attack, and her initial attack is 20k, so that's an additional 60k damage that you can deal. But the really good thing about this team is a team that really doesn't waste any time. So basically, if the bird boss has a 30% damage cap, usually with like other units you need to attack 4 times to kill it, right? So first attack deals 30% of the damage, then the next one brings him down by another 30%, and then another 30%, that's 90%, so he still has 10%, and you need to attack with like a final attack. On this team though, you only need 2 attacks, and that is 2 Eikthyrnir finger pokes, and that is because Eikthyrnir's finger poke itself deals additional like 30% of the damage he deals. So if the damage cap is 30%, he will deal an additional 30% of that 30%, which is 9%. So 1 finger poke with just Eikthyrnir, if it hits damage cap, is gonna deal like 39% of the boss's health. Now with Roxy's passive, if that finger poke actually crits, which it will do if you have Merlin Link on him, he's gonna deal of course an additional 60k damage, which against the bird boss just so happens to be more than 50% of the boss's health if you have a relatively built out Roxy. So about 20k attack should be ideal there, and you can kill 1 phase in 2 attacks. That of course saves you a lot of time for like watching animations and stuff like that. That is why this team is super fast. It's like 1 turns most stages. It's super crazy, you know. But if you don't have this team, don't worry, there are of course other teams as well. So another really good team, and that is actually one of the most fun teams, is going to be the unknown Amplify team. Now of course, again, you do need to have like a limited character. The other ones are of course accessible by now. Most people probably have Megelda. Like if you don't have Megelda, the bird boss is of course going to be very difficult, and this video is probably not for you because most teams are gonna use Megelda, as well as like Jormungand and Red Thonar. But Red Thonar was given out for free though, so. But anyway, Freyr was also given out for free. Nanashi is on a lot of banners. It just stipulates that you kind of need to have this Rem, right? So she's gonna be the one who benefits from all the buffs. Now of course, Megelda is gonna apply a buff anytime she uses this card through her passive. So anytime it heals, or anytime she actually uses the card through her passive or through her holy relic, she's gonna apply a buff to you that increases your all stats by 8%, stacking up to 5 times. So that's really nice. Nanashi, of course, if you have his holy relic, he's gonna give you 3 buffs, and he also has an Amplify ultimate. So so he actually benefits from all the buffs that you're gonna give your team. Now Freyr, of course, is gonna like alternate between like 1 buff to 2 buffs and then between 2 buffs and 3 buffs in the later stages of every floor, and he has a really nice ultimate that is of course gonna help you clear the second phase of the second floor. Now the star in this team is of course going to be Ram. Now that is because she has a Amplify card. Amplify of course benefits from additional damage based on every buff on self, and because she not only through her passive applies a bunch of buffs to herself whenever she like gains an ult gauge orb, but of course she's gonna get like 2 or 3 buffs from Freyr, she's gonna get a couple of buffs from Miguela, she's gonna get 3 buffs from Onashi and about 5 buffs from herself. It's a lot of buffs, and she can hit damage cap on the final phase of the first floor quite easily. She can probably hit damage cap, I can't remember, I think she hits damage cap on the first phase of the final floor as well, which sees the boss having so much defense or resistance that you kind of need to start building up with like other teams to be able to like deal damage, but with this team she basically gains it instantly, and it's really nice. Of course Miguel is also going to provide the healing, so you don't really need to worry about your units dying too much. But yeah, that is that team, and now I'm going to show you the most safe team. So the safest team is probably going to look a little something like this. Now you want to have a tank unit. Now this can be either the Yan or perhaps even the red Matrona. That could potentially also work, and she's of course going to heal you with her passive, which is really nice based on like her missing health. So she's going to heal all your units, so if you get like unlucky with like Miguel the heal cards, that is going to help you out there. In this team though, like the more damage the Yan takes, the more damage she's going to be able to dish out. Her ultimate will of course be able to hit damage cap quite easily. If you have a taunt up, she will be able to heal you back, and I feel like this might be one of the safer teams to run because of course Queen Diane's like great damage output while also being able to tank. Now on floor 2 phase 2 you do of course have 2 different units that can deal with the mechanics. So you have Freyr's death type ultimate and you have Diane's taunt, though if you kind of want to use Diane's taunt I would suggest not using Red Tarmia Link, but Red Tarmia Link is of course really great for this team if you have Freyr, which of course was given out for free, so you can work around disabling the bird on the second phase of the second floor, right? Now Meliodas here is a really nice unit, of course, like Amplify cards, as you saw with the other team, work really well on the bird. He'll be able to hit damage cap quite easily with this card against pretty much most phases, as long as you like give him a bunch of buffs, which of course he will gain from these 2 units, and of course from his own passive, like if you attack with single target attacks, and that works with any of these units, single target attacks. Now other units that kind of work really well here, like you can of course mix and match however you want. Like for power strike cards, of course you do have this card here that also works on floor 1 phase 4, right? So she is good there. Like other units with power strike card that we've seen before is of course gonna be Brunhild. She's a really nice demonic beast unit, simply for the reason that she of course heals you whenever she's debuffed, she gains more attack. She does have a power strike card, so she's all around really great unit to have. And of course you can replace probably any of these units with her. It might not be as safe if you replace her with the Yan, you might not deal as much damage if you replace her with Freyr, but you will of course have the opportunity to have 3 units be able to heal you, so that might also work out. If you say you don't have a built out Freyr, you got him for free but you don't have him built out, that could potentially work as well. But I think with that's the bird boss teams, and we'll go over the deer boss teams next. So for the deer boss, I would suggest maybe a team like this. So you want to run Jormungand, and then you want to have like a red and a blue unit, and then any other unit of any other color. I would suggest Brunhild, of course, because she works well on the deer, wolf, the bird boss, pretty much all demonic beasts except for the snake because of her healing. That's really nice there as well, and she will of course be your only unit that can heal you, so unless you count her card here, which can also heal you, so you don't really need a healing, but it's really nice to have like an option in case you don't pull an additional card. And of course she does have 2 attack cards, so you don't have like a 1 buff card. Say if you like pick a unit here that's gonna be your blue unit, and you pick like Luda Margaret, she has a buff card, she has an attack card. Getting the attack card, which is really important to do like the color wheel, is gonna be difficult, so you kind of want to have units that have 2 attack cards, right? The 2 cards that can deal damage. It doesn't have to be an attack card, it can be a debuff card, but as long as it deals damage, you can do the color wheel of the deer. Now why sort of Escanor as well as Freyr work really well is of course because of the death type ultimates. That's gonna really help you out on the final phase of every floor, but most specifically on the last floor, where you need to do the color wheel, and then you should like attack with one of their ult. Having the ult at 4/6 is optimal because that allows you to like attack with 2 other cards on the second turn. If they hit damage cap, say you saved like 2 gold cards because you're doing the color wheel, right? So it's red, green, blue, and then red. So you attack like once with Freyr, once with any of the green units, once with Escanor. Then you finish it off with Freyr's ult. That's turn 1, and then on the second turn you attack with like a green and a blue unit. And you want to have like gold or silver cards with them so you can hit damage cap. And if you hit damage cap, if you have Freyr on 4/6 or Escanor on 4/6, you will kill the deer, and you don't have to like worry about the 20% revive mechanic. I've already made a video on this. All of my demonic beast videos, I have them like linked in the description down below. There's gonna be a playlist. I've had that playlist forever, and you can like go through them and like see some really good teams that work on all the demonic beasts. But some alternatives to these units, like of course Escanor. Say instead of Escanor, instead of Brunhild here, let's just do the one ultimate, of course. But then you need another blue unit. What other blue unit is really good? Well, you do have one exclusive character. Hold on, don't you spell her name like that? No. It's 1L. Alright, so you have Milim. Milim is really nice. She deals so much damage with like her single target attack. She does have one single target attack and one card that turns into an AoE, right? Okay, this is one enemy, and then all enemies, right? But it's still gonna hit for quite hard. She's super strong with the spike card. She gains a bunch of buff to herself. She has a detonate ultimate, which is really nice as well. Like, she's an all-around really good unit for this particular fight. So let's just filter by attribute. So we'll go over all the strength units that work really well here. Like, I think Meliodas could work well here. Like, if you have him on LR or whatever, that could work. Sariel, of course, works really well, especially if you have his Holy Relic, which of course you get from the Deer boss, which is gonna increase his stats by so much whenever he crits. Like, he'll have so much stats, and you can actually run like a semi-full Archangel team that could work really well if you have like your blue unit, you have Ludomargus or something, and then you can also have like Red Tarmiel here, which will work really well there. Other units that work great is Freya. She works really well, especially with Freyr in this team. Then you can have like another blue unit, whichever you want to use. I've done teams where I use Rudius. There's also a video down in the description that you can check out. Like, that team worked out great. Like, Rudius hits so hard with his card. It's like a full human team. Skadi is one of the key units that people used early on against the Deer boss. She's really nice if you have her. There's potentially quite a lot of like red units that you can use. As for green units, like some examples of course are Brunhild. She could work really well there, of course, like I've already said. The green Arthur for like buffing your damage done, as well as like reducing your damage taken, could work great there. Potentially this Gopher, though he only has like one attack card, so I probably wouldn't go for it. I think Rimuru can work great if you go for like an unknown team with like units that buff like unknown units, because of course Jormungand is also an unknown unit. Like, there's so many units that you can mix and match, but you do need to have like one green, one red, and one blue. Of course, you get the green unit by just having Jormungand, and I honestly wouldn't suggest running this without Jormungand. Like, you can try some teams. There are probably teams on YouTube you can check out as well. But yeah, and as for blue units, like of course Cusack works great there. Nanashi you can have on an unknown team or an Amplify team. He has like 2 attack cards, so it's gonna work with the color wheel. If you want to run a human team, you can of course run Roxy here. King could potentially work to like reduce the damage you take a little bit. If you want to run like a demon team, running these Zeldris as well as like Estarossa could work really well there as well. Like, any of the Meliodas could work. This fight is quite honestly not that difficult anymore, but like, if you're struggling on it, if you want to find some teams that work quite well on it, there are of course potential teams that you can run. Of course you can run her as well, though I would suggest actually running like 2 blue units in that case, because she only has like 1 attack card, right? But she is gonna fill your ult gauge orb whenever she uses the buff skill, which is gonna increase your attack as well, so that's very nice. So yeah, like the Deer boss is most definitely the most, I would say, versatile in terms of like what teams you can make. And if you have her Holy Relic, that's gonna be even better, because if you've already crafted it and you just want to farm out like the other Holy Relics, then of course you'll have an easier time, because she'll sort of cleanses you and then also increases the rank of your skill cards. Though if you want to run her with her Holy Relic, I would suggest not running Skadi, because Skadi wants the debuffs. She's gonna cleanse the debuffs, and that's not really gonna work out there. But yeah, that's the Deer boss, and we'll move on to the wolves. Now on Skoll Hati, I do have 3 teams in mind that are really great for the Skoll Hati fight, but one of the safest teams and the team I'm actually running anytime I need to run this is gonna be this team right here. It's super safe. I haven't failed a single time. You can most definitely make a million misplays and still clutch it out. It's so good. So it's basically gonna utilize these 2 units here. It does of course require you to have Megelda here. It's basically gonna be an alt rush team. You're gonna get so much like HP related stats from this. If you have her Holy Relic as well, that's gonna increase your HP as well. You're gonna get some attack here. All of the units use like single target cards, which work great for like Melis passive. Of course you have Freyr here, who has like a death type ultimate, works excellent there as well, and he's of course gonna make you immune to ignites and of course give you buffs which work with melee. The card set of course that you want to run is gonna be this card set that's gonna prevent you from being frozen, and yeah, like the gear you want on them is attack crit on all of them, or attack defense, whatever you want to go with. I would honestly suggest going for something like this on like Megelda and Thonar, because we are pretty much not gonna crit on them, and you don't want them to get crit, so you want like crit resistance sub rolls here so they take less damage. But even if they do take damage, like you can just cleanse with her any debuffs, which you will basically get on phase 2 and 3, and maybe like if you stall out too much on the first phase of every floor, then you can cleanse, you can heal, super good there. Even with like a 2/6 ult, I always hit damage cap quite easily because it's a power strike ultimate. You also have like 2 units that can cleanse any stances that the wolves put up, which they do on every phase of every floor. But the nice thing about this team is of course it's gonna ult rush with her, it's gonna ult rush with her, and melee will get his ult, and of course his ult is gonna cleanse not not just buffs, but also stances. The defense related stat that they get on the first phase, just gone, straight up gone, as well as like the taunt from like the little wolf. Melee is so good for this. Yeah, this is my recommended team. It's so good, so consistent. This is basically my daily driver team. Like, that's what I'm using. So another team that you can run is of course going to be something like this. Now of course you will always need Thonar, but if you have like some really good units like Melis, like Eikthyrnir here, I would suggest just running them because they do work quite well. If you don't have Freyr, or you don't have Freyr built out, but you do have Skadi built out, she's a good alternative to like replace Freyr on any team. Of course she's not going to make you immune to the ignite effects, but for every like debuff on her, she's going to decrease the enemy's attack and defense and increase all your units skill damage by 15%, which is really nice, and it works out great, and you don't really have to worry about getting too many ignite stacks, which if you do, I think your units get frozen. Because of like the damage increase, you will basically kill the wolves super quickly. Eikthyrnir's finger poke of course hits damage cap quite easily, and it will deal more than damage cap. Melee, yeah, you can attack with this card without having his true magic buff, but if you do have his true magic buff, he's gonna hit damage cap every time. His ult, I'm pretty sure you don't need super high dupes. I didn't have him super highly duped out from the beginning, but it worked out. I do have it like 5-6 now. My Eikthyrnir is only 2-6. But this team also works out really well, and of course you can mix and match sort of any units. Like if you want to use straighter melee here instead, that could potentially work out as well. Like you don't really need this melee, but it's a team that I found is very consistent and actually really fast, because you have two units that can hit super hard. You get so much more damage because of all the debuffs you get. You have Thonar, that's going to increase your attack. Additionally, you do have Skadi's healing, which if she ults, and she's always going to hit two units with the ult, so the healing will be really nice there. So if you have her duped out, you will be able to like fully heal your units just by ulting with her. That's also like super nice. So yeah, that's a really good team. And now I'll actually go to, well, one of the cheesiest teams. Now this is the cheesiest team. It's gonna utilize Ban and King to basically patience every single attack that the dogs throw at you, basically because of Ban's passive, which is gonna decrease all enemies attack related stats by 15% at the start of Alistair if he doesn't take damage, and it's gonna stack up to 5 times, so up to 75% attack related stat is gonna be decreased. The dog will patience you every single attack, and it's super safe once you actually build it up. So basically you wanna like attack with your power strike cards with King, or your attacks with King, get that shield, hope that the wolves don't do too many AoE attacks to break the shield from Ban, to sort of reduce the chance of actually being able to break the shield on Ban and actually damaging him. You kind of want crit resistance here so he doesn't get crit, and you want triple defense gear. Now HP defense also works, but triple defense gear just to increase his defense as much as you possibly can. And you do want to have, well, what I'm running here is this, but what you should probably be running is like blue Tarmiel link on him, with, of course, because blue Tarmiel wants triple defense gear. If you have triple defense gear on Tarmiel, that is sort of what you want to run there as well. Something like this, right? You want to have triple defense gear on Tarmiel to increase his defense. If you have him at 6-6, he's gonna give Ban 10% of his basic stats, which includes defense, and Ban gets a lot of defense, so he will take less damage and he will have his chance to be crit reduced. Now if you still want to run red Tarmiel Grace, of course, like you can put it on Freyr here all the way to the left, because the boss is gonna focus the unit that is in the first position, so you kind of want to have red Tarmiel link on him. Usually when I've run this team, I've just run it like this. King can take the damage, it doesn't matter. He can also heal back quite a bit because he does a lot of damage. He also has an ultimate that's going to remove debuffs from allies and buffs from enemies, and it hits super hard. Of course, he's going to like apply a really beefy shield to you because you're attacking 2 units at once with the AoE ultimate. Freyr, of course, like you can just get this card on silver. You will need it to actually cancel the stances on the first phase of every floor, basically because you don't deal a lot of damage with this team. It's a really like patience focused team. You want to stall out as much as possible so you can build up Ban's passive, and then you can like go to town and basically never get hit as long as you have like a King card. It is a little bit RNG dependent though. If the boss for whatever reason keeps targeting Ban for some reason, like I don't know, he's gonna break the Ban shield. If he does too many AoE attacks on like the first phase of floor 3, he's gonna like break the Ban shield, so you will never like get Ban's passive rolling, and you might have to reset at that point, but it's not too bad. And also like if you keep getting like King frozen, or you don't get like King cards, yeah, like you can't reapply the shield, and there's a chance Ban will get hit if they do an AoE attack. Like I've had it happen where King got frozen, but Ban was never attacked, so it was like all good there. It doesn't matter, but that's also like why you want to have this card set, so you can like move cards with King, to like unfreeze him and then attack with him, right? So you can like reapply the shield and then get patience again. So yeah, this team is also down in the description in the playlist, so you can find it there. But yeah, I think that is going to be it for this video. Let me know what teams you're using. I always kind of want to know if like there's some really fast teams that can clear this as fast as possible, like the one with the bird boss where you're running the human team that can clear it in like 8 minutes, and then you can get 6 or 7 runs in every hour, right? That's really nice. And 6 or 7 runs, that's gonna be like 12 to 14 of these win sources per hour. A great chance of actually getting the cards that you want as well. So yeah, do let me know what teams you're using. But with that, I think that's gonna be it for me. Hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a most wonderful rest of your day. And yeah, I guess I'll catch you next one. Bye.